Hey guys, it's Christopher here, and was just thinking about you guys this morning and what I wanted to share with you. You know, it's interesting. Today is Monday morning, and as many of you know, it's the day after the Super Bowl. The Ravens beat the 49ers yesterday in just an unbelievably competitive Super Bowl. And what's interesting for the 2 weeks leading up to the Super Bowl, you know, the 49ers were favored. They were the favorites. The Ravens, quite frankly, were the underdogs. Oftentimes, like many of us feel like we're the underdogs in life. And the 49ers were favored because many of the analysts just thought that they were more talented. Many of the analysts thought that they were younger and more athletic. And the Ravens were maybe on the wrong side of father time. And clock was ticking on them. A little bit slower, not quite as athletic of a team, not quite as explosive of an offense. And so as a result, the 49ers were favored. Played the game out yesterday, and the Ravens got off to a huge lead in the first half and managed to overcome some adversity in the second half and win that game. So today, all of the analysts are talking about, well, how did the Ravens beat the 49ers? The question is, those that win in a team atmosphere, how do you beat a team that might be more talented, that might be more skilled? And what's interesting, there's a couple of key points that I think you walk away from yesterday's game, and really it all centers around leadership. See, everybody today is talking about Ray Lewis and the leadership of that team and how he led the Ravens through the postseason and into a Super Bowl victory yesterday. And what is leadership? Well, what's interesting as they talk about Ray Lewis and his leadership, one of the questions that was asked in the aftermath yesterday was, Ray keeps talking about my team, you know, this is my team, here's what my team's going to do. And one of the analysts almost challenged him on that. It's like, well, what do you mean your team? Who are you to say it's like your team? Who gave you the team? See, because the fact of the matter is Ray doesn't own the team. There's an owner who owns the team, and yet nobody spoke about the owner's leadership that got the Ravens to where they are today. That guy was entitled the owner. I don't even recall his name, quite frankly. But what Ray Lewis was talking about is he believed he was the owner of the team. He acted as if he was the owner of the team. He acted as if he owned that team of men, and it was his responsibility. See, there's a big difference between really taking responsibility for something, taking responsibility for your job or your role on a team, and really taking ownership of a team, really taking ownership of where a team is going or what your team is doing. And Ray Lewis understood that, you know, probably through his life's experiences, I'm guessing. So Ray was talking about my team. What's interesting is they talked about Ray Lewis and his leadership style, and they interviewed a whole bunch of guys that have played for him previously and that play for him currently and been around him. They really say there's two things about Ray that sort of stood out in his leadership. One, they said, you know, there's a lot of guys that are leaders that their message when they speak will resonate with the people around them. And so their leadership style is a lot about what they say and how they're able to articulate ideas and how their ideas resonate with people and inspire them and motivate them and cause them to want to do more. But one of the things they said about Ray Lewis that was unique was Ray Lewis understood who his teammates were. In other words, they said from the beginning of the season, because there's always a change in the roster. All great teams, whether it's sports teams or other teams, the roster turns over on a regular basis. In other words, you've got your core 20% of your guys, but there's always guys that are coming onto the team, joining the team, you're recruiting onto the team, and there's always guys that are leaving the team for whatever reason. That's certainly true in our business, true in professional sports. And so one of the things they say Ray Lewis does every single year is he sits down in every man's locker on the team. Now, you think about it, I think there's 60 guys on a team, 60 men playing on a professional football team, and Ray Lewis takes the time every year, starting with their spring training, and sits down with every man at that man's locker and gets to know that man and what's important to that man and what makes that man tick and what's he about, what's important to him. So by the end of the season, when it's time to execute, when it's time to perform at the highest level, Ray knows all the guys around him, knows who they are, knows what they stand for, knows what they're about, knows how to get down and get into each one of their hearts and really push them. You know, one of the measures of leadership they talk about is that a great leader is able to get really the most out of the least. and the best out of the best. And what does that mean? They're able to get the most out of the last man on the roster, the guy who, for whatever reason, is the least talented or brings the least amount of skill or effort, whatever the case might be. A great leader is able to get the most out of that guy, and that is the best men and women on the team around him. He's able to get the best out of them, and certainly that's a characteristic that they're suggesting Ray Lewis certainly has. And then there's a third thing about Ray Lewis's leadership that I think applies to you and me equally as well. One is getting to know the guys around you, but two is, they said, Ray Lewis, when he walks into a room, when he walks onto a football field, when he walks into a locker room, that you feel his presence. That you feel his presence, and his energy changes the room. His energy changes the environment around him. The way that, just the energy that he brings, he's there, and he shifts literally the collective consciousness or the energy of those people around him. So that's sort of my message for you for today. I want you to think about really those couple of things. Number one, if you're in leadership, is it positional leadership like the owner of the Ravens, or is it leadership based on influence? And I hope it's leadership based on influence, because that's the most powerful kind of leadership there is. Number two, do you know the men and women on the team? Do you know who's on the team? Do you know them not by name, not by position or title, but do you really know who they are and what they stand for? Do you really know what's important to them? Have you really taken the time to get to know them at the levels that are necessary for you long-term to be able to influence and lead them? And number three, how does your message resonate with the team around you? Does your message resonate? Do people know who you are and what you stand for? Are they able to connect with your message? Does your message inspire and motivate others? And then lastly, number four, when you step into a room, whether it's a conference room or a boardroom, whether it's a football field or a basketball court, whether it's some sort of meeting, whether it's one-on-one with an individual on your team or whether it's with a group of individuals, do people feel your presence? And if so, what is it that they feel when you walk into the room? Do they feel a level of enthusiasm, of excitement, of belief, of confidence, of inner confidence? Do they feel like immediately when you walk into the room that they're lucky to have you on their team? They're lucky that they're looking for you to call the shot and to fall in line behind them, right? Does your energy move people in a way that brings out the most and the least and challenges the best to be the best? How is your energy? That's my message for you today. I want you thinking about those four things. I appreciate you guys. I believe in you. You know that. I want you to go out and have a terrific day. Until we meet again.